Hi y'all, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to make Fiesta rice using New Harvest freeze-dried ingredients for your main ingredients and some basic household spices. It is so easy and delicious that it's almost unbelievable, and it only takes about 10 minutes. However long it takes you to boil your water, and then just let it sit in the bowl for 10 minutes, then you're done. That's all it takes. My kids and my husband, the first time I made this for them, did not even know that it was freeze-dried ingredients. It looks that good, it smells that good, and it tastes that good. So let's get started. You're going to just need a bowl that holds 2 cups, just a basic kitchen bowl. You're going to need all of your basic measuring spoons, tablespoon, teaspoon, half teaspoon, and a quarter teaspoon. You're going to need a quarter cup, a third cup, and a half cup, and something that holds at least a cup and a half of boiling water. This measuring cup holds 2 cups of water. Let's start with our freeze-dried ingredients. You're going to need a third cup of freeze-dried chunk chicken, and it looks like this. And the New Harvest Foods comes in these pouches, single pouches, or number 10 cans. But the food is really good. It tastes good. I have no complaints. Now, I use a third cup when I'm making it in the bowl like this. If I'm putting it in a jar to store in the pantry, you really have to follow the recipe good, because the ingredients won't fit if you go to adding more than what the recipe says. But if you're just making it in a bowl, you can alter it to fit your taste buds. Half a cup of freeze-dried corn, a quarter cup of diced tomatoes, and they look amazing. They don't look, uniformly cut into little bitty squares, so it looks like freeze-dried food. It looks like real tomatoes. A quarter cup of chopped red bell peppers. These look really good too. Now, the bell peppers, I use red and green bell peppers, a quarter cup of each, and those are optional. You don't have to add that if you don't like bell peppers. My family does. The bell peppers look good too. Now, the next ingredient is a tablespoon of freeze-dried onions. If you don't have any freeze-dried onions and all you have is onion flakes, then you want to use a teaspoon of onion flakes versus a tablespoon of the freeze-dried. The potency is different. And you want to get instant brown rice, and you really need to make sure that it's instant and not regular, because the water's gonna obviously cook it quicker. But if it's not instant, then it's not gonna cook up the same way. You want 2/3 cup of instant brown rice. Okay, now for our spices. This is the fun part. You're gonna have 1.5 teaspoons of chili powder. Now, after you make this, if you find that, oops, that's a tablespoon. If you find that it's a little too spicy for it, you can take it down to 1 teaspoon. Our family kind of likes it spicy. So 1.5 teaspoons of chili powder, a quarter teaspoon of ground cumin, quarter teaspoon of garlic powder. I make my own. Dehydrate garlic cloves and then put it in a Ninja and chop it down, and it's so much better than the store-bought stuff, because you never really know how long the store-bought stuff has been sitting on the shelf, and these are fresh because you make it. So it's really simple. A quarter teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/8 teaspoon of regular salt. Now, we are going to be adding chicken bouillon to this. So if you're sensitive to salt and you don't want to use a lot of salt, then just don't add salt. Just add the chicken bouillon. This dish can be a little bit salty with added salt. So if you don't like that, just stick to the chicken bouillon. 2 teaspoons of chicken bouillon. And I use Knorr's. I really like it. It has great flavor, and we use it in lots of different dishes. I think it's a couple dollars for this big container. You can also use granules. You don't have to use the powder. Dried oregano. 1/4 teaspoon dried oregano. It's another one that is so easy to grow. Dry it out and stick it in a Ninja, and you've got really flavorful oregano instead of stuff that's dried out and been on the shelf. Now your next ingredient is 1/2 teaspoon of dried cilantro, or 1/8 teaspoon of dried. If you're going to use freeze-dried cilantro, you want to have 1/2 teaspoon. If you're going to use just regular cilantro, then it needs to be 1/8 teaspoon of dried cilantro. I don't have any freeze-dried on hand, or I would show you the difference. And the next 2 ingredients are optional. You're going to use 1 teaspoon of chia seeds, and you can find these, anywhere in the store. They're packed full of health benefits. I use this or a ground flaxseed to pretty much every meal I cook, just for the health benefits for my kids, because kids don't always eat healthy, and even the husband doesn't eat healthy all the time. So you just have to add that stuff in there whenever you can get it. Now the next ingredients, again, it's optional. It's 1/4 teaspoon of dried minced jalapenos. I've not found these in the store. I grow them, I dehydrate them, and I stick them in a Ninja bullet. I would imagine you can use some from the jar if you wanted to, but most of them have vinegar, so I prefer to use it this way. If you're sensitive to spicy food, don't add them, because the chili powder makes it really spicy. Then I mix it up so that we get all the spices. Oops. So that we get all the spices in there. Making a mess here. And when the water boils, you're going to add 1.5 cups of the water to it and put a lid on it and let it sit for about 10 minutes to absorb all the water. I'm making a mess. And while we wait for that, I want to explain a few things. If you prepare these ahead of time and put them in pint-sized mason jars, you're going to layer the ingredients. And I would always start by putting the spices on the bottom, so that when you use the vacuum sealer on top, that it doesn't suck up the powders into your vacuum sealer or get stuck in the rim if you're using an oxygen absorber. So start with the spices on the bottom and then just work your way up. If you follow the recipe exactly, then it will fit pretty snug in the quart-sized jar. And then all you do is dump the jar into the bowl and add your water and put the lid on top. If you're adding it to a bag, it doesn't matter how you do it. You just add it to the bag. Sounds like our tea kettle's about done. Okay, you're going to measure 1.5 cups. Pour it in. You want to kind of stir it up a little bit so that all the ingredients are wet. Don't want to have any stragglers that are, chewy when everything else is done. So you just kind of want to like submerge it all and let it get good and moist, and make sure the spices are mixed in pretty well. And then you're going to cover it up and just let it sit for 10 minutes, just like that. And I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. It's 10 minutes later. We're going to take the lid off. We're going to stir Stir it up and see if all the water has been absorbed. Now, if there's just a little bit of water left in the bottom, that's fine. It makes it really good that way. If you have, you know, what you would consider an excess amount of water, I would stir it up and let it sit for just a little bit longer so that the water gets absorbed into the ingredients and they get rehydrated. You definitely don't want chewy ingredients, and if you don't let it sit long enough and absorb the majority of the water, then you might get a little bit of chewy rice, and that's pretty gross. But look at that, it's amazing. It is so good. You can, especially on tortillas. Now you can top it off with a little bit of cheese. You can top it off with extra jalapenos if you want more spice. You can top it off with some sour cream. Now, I just wanted to show you, if you double up your ingredients, what will happen. Or even triple, depending on the size of your family. We have 4 people in our family, so this tends to be enough if I double it up. But look what happens. You get a huge bowl. This is a 2-quart size bowl to serve on the table, and it looks fantastic. Again, top it off with a little bit of cheese, maybe some black olives, some sour cream. After serving it in individual tortillas or the tortilla bowls, I would not put sour cream on top. I would let the person do it themselves. But how good does that look? It smells amazing. New Harvest freeze-dried foods. I can't give a better review on these. It tastes so good. My family loves them.